So, how long have you been here?
We've been here nearly 3 months in Hong Kong.
Raise your hands if you guys like to eat pho. Everyone?
Yes.
How about spring rolls?
Spring rolls,
yes.
Definitely.
Pineapple?
Yes, I like it.
I've had it once, it's okay.
I don't know what it is.
Raise your hands if you like traveling in Vietnam's chaotic streets.
I have to. I have to, but I don't want to.
So many of my friends have been learning English for 8 years, 12 years at school, but they still can't communicate in English. Why is that? What's the reason that happens?
Well, I think it's because they don't learn the casual English that we all speak. They learn a very, not formal, but structured English instead of like a casual conversation. Yeah.
My friends, they really hate learning English. They think that English is really boring. And what are the main factors that contribute to them thinking that English is boring?
I think it's because like the English system is like focused on learning about grammar, not speaking and listening and like conversational English. So that's why they find it so boring, because it's always listening to the teacher and writing down.
As well in Vietnam, because not many people speak a lot of English, they can't really practice very well in social occasions. So if they were to travel overseas, I think they'd find it a lot more interesting because they can use it a lot more and practice.
Yeah. So it comes to the purpose of learning English actually, and they do not see the purpose. Let's say if they do not travel overseas a lot, then why do they have to learn English? But for those who do have purpose, I think they are motivated to learn.
And I think some students, they want to learn English, but like their friends is better than them a lot, and they feel shy when they
So the
speak English.
The gap between in terms of the competence of the student in one class.
Coming to Vietnam, what has been your most embarrassing moment?
Sweating all the time because we have to bike to class, and then when we get to class, it's like,
Well, what has been your most rewarding moment?
The kids, like the 3-year-olds, every day I get a hug from the 3-year-olds when I come into class, and then they're just so excited to see you and like learn from like a foreign language teacher. That's really rewarding. So yeah.
You're shy when it comes to speaking English. When you go out to them, you're like, oh hey, and then oh no, English is not good, no good.
No good. That's our familiar.
So, what are your tactics to make sure that your students speak out more? Try to speak English more and like to speak English more.
I think it's important to like engage directly with each student, not to be like at the front of the classroom teaching like just off the board. I think it's important for them to hear you speak to them and not seem like, you know, the teacher and the students, just to kind of like talk to them like a normal, like a friend, not like a, you know, like a scary, intimidating teacher. Yeah, to make them feel more confident and not scared to pronounce something wrong.
What role does fun and games and books have to play in learning English?
So actually, it's important to have different activities in the class, because if we use like traditional way of teaching, like only the teacher talks, then you know the gap would be never been filled. But if we have different activities, then we can divide them into different groups. With different groups, we assign them, like the better student can be somebody who can, maybe he good at writing, for example, he or she can be a secretary of the group. The other one can be a leader of the group. The other one can be, something. And therefore, if we assign them different roles, then they have something to do or something to contribute in the activity, and therefore they are going to work. And the activity, and also, I think the environment will be much better.
Actually, with the game with the kids, it's like 3A1. Normally, when we give them to play the game, and easy enough for all the students in the class, and then you have to know the level of the student in the class. You will divide the level. If they have the good at, and they play together, and the same level they play together, so that they feel that this time they win the game, and next time they cannot lose. So that is led them to more interested in the lesson. They don't feel, forget about it. I won't win anything. So the first thing that the teacher, we need to encourage the student to engage in the lesson, and then the game, so that they think that I can win this game. That's the thing.
What do you want to talk about when it comes to English? What do you think is really important? Let me re-ask these questions to you.
I think, I think being able to have foreign, native English speakers in your school is important, because some Vietnamese teachers, they can't pronounce the English words correct anyway, so they're teaching a whole class of students how to speak English wrong. So I think having foreigners come in to your school and be able to correct those small mistakes makes a big difference.
How do you make sure that these small mistakes don't occur when it comes to your students?
I think just listening really carefully and picking up on small things, and then telling the entire class, you don't say because, you say because, and it is, finishing, things like that. And so even if it's just one student that makes the mistake, you tell the whole class, so that everyone gets the opportunity to, learn how to correct it.
I think people often say it as a reality check.
Yeah.
So the reality is, it does come from the native speakers. And when you say because, and it's naturally, then you need to double check when you say because. So it is when the exposure with native speakers will be very important, because it's a reality check for the student and the teachers, Vietnamese teachers as well.
I heard that you guys teach phonics. What's phonics?
Phonics? It is about you teach the kids how to sound the letter. Many teachers or many Vietnamese students make misunderstanding between phonics and phonological. And then phonics is that when we teach the kids, they can look at the word and they sound it out and they read the word. Normally when we teach phonics, we just only teach them the letter, letter A in ant, and letter A in apple. Actually, we teach them to sound the letter. The name of the letter is different from the sound of the letter. And you say letter A sound A, and you say A in apple. And that's the difference between the phonics and phonological. And you say when we teach the kids the word cat, and the student, the kids look at the word cat and they spell the word C-A-T. Normally the teacher, we just teach them to spell the word C-A-T and cat. But phonics, we ask the teacher to sound the letter at, and ask them to say faster, at, and that's the way for me to say at, cat.
How do you incorporate fun and games in a way that the children they can learn a lot and they can also have a lot of fun? Because many teachers, they have the idea in their mind is if they play many games in their classroom, kids won't learn as much as when they just sit down and just take in the information. The kids will have too much fun and they'll forget all of their words and everything that they've learned.
Well, when you play a game with them, like, of course you teach it to them first, and then when you play the game with it, you put it into a different context. You also make it more fun so that when they are playing the game, they're competitive, they get to use it in like a fast context, and they will remember it because they've got to use it in the game. It's kind of more ingrained in their mind rather than just sitting there and learning, okay, it is a ball, instead of like running around and playing a game with it. They'll, they just get a wee bit more of a memory from it. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the over-emphasis on grammar when it comes to taking English tests?
I think English grammar is important for like writing and understanding how sentences work, but for speaking and learning like pronunciation, which I think is, I wouldn't say it's more important, but it is like your grammar.
Equally important.
Yeah, your grammar could be amazing, but your pronunciation could be terrible, and I wouldn't understand what you're saying. So I think, emphasis, like equal emphasis needs to be on, grammar, pronunciation, like listening. It should all be the same, not a lot of grammar and then like small amount of listening or speaking.
I have one that you say that if the student they play game in the classroom and the teacher think that if they play much they do not get more information than they just sit in the class. Actually, when they play the game, the motivation here is they want to remember the word, but if they have to sit and listen to the teacher, I say, I have to remember these words. That's the two ways, the two ways of think of the students. I want to remember this word. It's different from I have to.
And the thing is, according to the lesson, we will prepare and we will come up with the games that fit with the lesson, and they can use their knowledge, their vocab, and grammar to make a sentence and do the game.
What's the most rewarding thing about teaching English?
I think the most rewarding thing about teaching English is being able to help these students develop a wider world sort of thing. So in Vietnam, just speaking Vietnamese, they only have the opportunity to be in Vietnam and do things in Vietnam. Whereas if they learn English, they can broaden their horizons and communicate with people outside Vietnam and travel and just look at different things on the internet and newspapers and things like that that not only affect their world but affect the wider world, and then they therefore learn more information.
I think English is an amazing language. It really connects people together. It's an international language because I think English is not just for native speakers and native countries to speak. There's Koreans who speak English. There's Vietnamese people who speak English. There's Laos people who speak English. English now has become a language that connects people together. And I think that's amazing. I think that you're so passionate about your job, and thank you for your time.